Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Alice. We talk about books. Sometimes we do a little bit of lifestyle vlog content. So if you're looking for someone to stick on in the background while you make yourself a meal, clean your room, do that thing you've been putting off for the longest time, or you just want someone to listen to, then I'm your gal. So consider hitting that subscribe button. Come on in. It is free and you can unsubscribe at any time. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for your continued support. Let's get on with today's video. Also, apologies about the hair. Don't know what it's doing. This is what you got, okay? Today, we're talking about... Yes, I finally read it, guys. I finally got to the end. Woo! I think we're still on track. Still on track to finish by the end of October. Fingers crossed. So yes, today we're going to be talking about You. Now, just because you're probably going to see it, I have said this before. One of my best friends lent me this copy and their pet rats got at it, so that is why it looks like this. I did not batter the book, don't you worry, although I fear maybe this bend has been caused by me, but hopefully not. Anyway, let's talk about it. All right, let's just say what we're going to be talking about today is going to be a little bit unhinged. All right, it's going to be a bit unhinged. So I would just like to preface this by saying please read the trigger warnings before you read any book, but especially if you're going to read a book such as You. I won't be going into themes today, so you should be fine just to hear what I'm going to say, but we are going to mention some kind of themes in a way. So if this is not the video for you and you look at the warnings in this book and you think yeah, probably shouldn't go there, then that's okay. Go have a little peruse on the channel, go see if there's something else you fancy watching today. But for now, we're gonna talk about this, okay? So we want happy, safe readers out there. Go be safe, people. All right, it's time to bring in the big guns. One day we will talk about the dents, but today it's not that day. You know that. You know. Oh, is it? I've got my trusty review, and you're gonna have to bear with me, guys. This one's quite a long one. All right, I had a lot to say about this book. I gave this book 4 stars. I know, very high, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it. Overall thoughts, I enjoyed it. It was unhinged. It made me feel weird. I think I felt every emotion pretty much whilst reading this book. So I feel like that's some kind of good thing, I guess. I don't know. In terms of the spice level, so this book isn't spicy, but it does talk about saucy things a lot in this book. It's quite straight to the point, matter of fact, when it talks about it. It's not like a typical spice scene in something like Icebreaker. It's not like that at all. So it's definitely not a spicy book. I don't think anybody would really want to read this from the spice aspect, but I mean, I don't know what you guys are into, so I don't want to get involved in that. Don't let me know. Don't let me know those in the comments. But anyway, it does mention saucy things in here. It just isn't spice. Does that make sense? It's not written for the reader's enjoyment. It's kind of written from the perspective of this man right here, and it's for his enjoyment. So I think that's the best way I can explain it. If asked would I recommend this book, you know, it's really hard. I say yes, but I also say no, and I say 1000% for both of them. So yes, in terms of, it was really unique. I've never read anything like this. It was really different, having the You concept in it with the second person. That was really cool, because it kind of puts you into the book as well, even though, you know, he's not talking about you. It's a cool way of writing. I think it's very clever. I think Miss Caroline over here did a good job, a very good job of that. I would say yes, because it's a really cool read in terms of it was something quite different. It was a lot, but it was something quite different. However, I would say no, because fundamentally it is pretty fucked up. It is pretty fucked up. That's not going to be for everyone. I'm not going to be like, oh mum, here, take it. Do you know what I mean? For me, if I'm giving a book a strong recommendation, I should pretty much be able to give it to anyone and say, here you go, or yes to this specific type of reader. But even within, let's say, thriller readers, I don't know if everybody would enjoy this. So I think maybe go have a little look at the concept, go look at the warnings, trigger warnings and all of that. See if it's a bit of you. If you think you can handle it, I would recommend, because it was definitely an experience. My friend literally gave this to me so long ago. I'm pretty sure he gave it to me last year, and he's been badgering me to read this, and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of scared, I don't know. But I finally read it. Thank you, October. Good job, October. And I'm very glad that I did. Also, fun fact, I think we're gonna make a little podcast shits and giggles. Let me know if you'd like to listen to that. I think we'll talk about this book at one point as well, so let me know. Let me know, alright? Anyway, basically, read at your own peril. That's what I'd say, alright? Are you ready for the review? Seatbelts on, people. We're buckling in. Are you buckled in? Good. Because it's gonna be a wild ride, okay? So, I said, this book was honestly a mindfuck. Truth. Absolute statements. It was so addictive, but it felt so wrong at the same time. Like, I genuinely don't know if you can understand the concept unless you've read it or maybe experienced something like that particular feeling. I feel like if you've experienced that feeling, you know what it feels like. I couldn't stop, but I was also like, maybe a better way to explain it is when you know you shouldn't look at something, but you can't stop looking at it, and so you're kind of like this, but you're still looking at it. That's the vibe of this book. That's what this makes you feel like doing, basically. I'm just gonna say, I don't know what happened to me in this review, but I thought I was some kind of critic writer for the New Yorker or something. I don't know. New York Times, that's what we're looking for. Yeah, so you're gonna have to forgive my pretentious language in this, but it was just what came out. It was how I was feeling after I read this. And maybe, you know, I love the fact that there's a bookshop involved, loads of books, loads of references and stuff. So maybe this just rubbed off on me a little bit. Hopefully that was the only way that it did. But no, I'm joking. It's a silly sausage. Yes, back to the task at hand. This book appeals to all the dark and visceral emotions of a human. Now stay with me. It's so intense, but it's so consumable at the same time, and there's a weird play with this sort of like concept of pleasure, enjoyment, and when you're kind of reading it, you know that it's dark. It should feel untouchable, like it should be like ugh, but you don't feel that, and that's kind of that like darkness in the human. I don't know, like it's weird. It's just weird. That's the only way I can explain it. It's just unlike anything I've ever read. I feel like the author, she did a really good job at balancing this, because I don't think, for me personally, I ever felt like there was a moment where it was too much, but it always felt more than enough. You've definitely given me more than I've bargained for, but I feel like it was very much on the cusp of, it never went too far. I don't know, it still went really far. It still went pretty far. Caroline Legend was also very impressive because she, why am I saying that? Like, she cares about it. Obviously she doesn't. Legend, she's wrote a great book, but you know, maybe you guys want to hear what I think. Let me know, have you read this book in the comments down below? Now, something I found really impressive about this book as well is that Miss Caroline herself, the way she writes it, it kind of creates this, and do you know what, maybe this is just me, I don't know, but I assume it was intentional, but it could just be because I'm a scaredy cat, but it creates this kind of like anxious feeling the whole time you're reading, like this little underlying like feeling of, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen, this feels like a lot. And every time I read this, I was like in this book just feeling that feeling constantly in the back of my mind. And I feel like that's very impressive to get a reader in that kind of state. So this feeling that I'm talking about, it sort of persists the entire way throughout the book, and I think that's largely due to the fact that you don't trust any of the characters, least of all Joe. Joe is the main character, and I feel like because you can't trust him and he's kind of your narrator, your source, you feel very on edge the whole time. But it's not like one of those, oh, you're watching a horror film, you're like, something's gonna jump out, this is gonna happen. It's not that kind of vibe. It's more like this like slow burning feeling. That's the best way I can describe it. Basically, you know that Joe is never going to lie to you, but he's just so emotionally charged, he's very unpredictable, and this makes it hard to trust him as the reader. This book is also odd because even though Joe is literally a straight up psychopath, you definitely find yourself sort of analysing, blaming the other characters, trying to find the undesirable things about them. So I think that's quite clever as well, because again, it just kind of messes with your head. It's a bit of a mindfuck. You kind of come away questioning, a good person? Like what? Like, well, I did anyway, but I think I'm fine. I don't know. It was really cool to see it kind of through Joe's eyes, because he sees the world so simply, but it's so complex at the same time. It's this whole juxtaposition. So for example, you kind of get this version of him where he's like, you've done me wrong, you've done something wrong. But then also you have this other version where he's making these elaborate reasons of justifying why certain characters are doing things. And I feel like it was just really clever, because it was just this constant sort of flow, and I really enjoyed being on the ride, you know. on riding the wave, surfing the wave, you know. I really loved the style of writing, as I mentioned before. It had me hooked straight from the start. The you, the second person, it was like really captivating, and I think that I really appreciate a good standard of writing. I know that sounds so, but I don't mean it like that. I just mean it was a good book. So let's talk negatives. Obviously I gave it 8 out of 10. I didn't give it 10 out of 10, so it wasn't perfect. Let's talk that now. Obviously very small things, to be honest. Like, they only lost 2 points. It's still a really high scoring book, but you know, it wouldn't be a well-rounded review if we don't talk about all the aspects, both likes and dislikes. I felt in places this book got a little bit too unbelievable, and I know that sounds really like, I know how that sounds, because obviously like this book is a work of fiction, but I just think it went a little too far in some places. How he got away with things and how he got around with it, I think sometimes it was a little bit too unbelievable. I don't think it hindered it that much. It was just you know, I'm very much grasping at straws here, but just little things that, if I had to be honest with it, that wasn't maybe in keeping with the rest of the book, you know, that wasn't as polished, that element. But I actually preferred like reading the parts where things kind of went a little bit wrong, if that makes sense. So it was like very interesting to see how he adapted to situations and how easily he could kind of change up and stuff, and I really enjoyed that bit of it, which was a big positive. But I think that then juxtaposed the bits where he got away with them, they were a bit elaborate too much. I think that kind of made them stand out a little bit more to me, and some of those moments happen around those other moments as well, so you know, it was a little bit up and down at places, I'd say. The other reason it lost a little bit of a rating with me is that I did kind of want a little bit more of a backstory. Now I know we get a little bit sprinkled, a little few nuggets of information here, and I don't say I want a backstory, I don't want a whole chapter or anything, but I feel like they could have been a little bit more, because honestly I just wanted to know if he was a straight up psycho or if he'd kind of been nurtured that way. There were like sprinklings, and I feel like we are going towards the nurture version, like the nurtured way, but I just feel like we know more. You know, are we going to try and defend like what he does, or is he just a straight up psycho? Because that kind of changes it. If you read it in the he's just a straight up psycho kind of way, I feel like that's almost more creepy, more intense, where if you kind of start to, let's not say justify, because you know the actions are not justifiable, but if you start to unpick his psychology, if he's nurtured into a certain way, etc., that could add a different element and a different level to the book. I think I'm team, I'd prefer him to just be a straight up psycho, but who knows? Who knows? Because I feel like if we don't try and defend, like I said, again, very loose, not defend, but like justify his actions, then that almost makes it a little bit more creepier, you know, because there's no underlying motive. It's just this obsessive tendencies, you know. I feel like that's kind of scary. So that's just a humble gal's opinion, all right? Beck, who is the main female protagonist in this, she actually kind of annoyed me a lot. So she did, but I kind of understand that's what's supposed to happen in a way. But yeah, she was a little bit, so that was kind of annoying, but never mind, you know. I feel like that definitely was kind of an intention as well, because it kind of got different, you had different views of different characters, so I feel like gotta be done. I would very much like to go and read the next one. However, I do definitely feel like I need a break, because it is a lot. It is quite heavy, not heavy in a, let's say, emotional way as such, but just a lot of stuff happens, and it's very dark and it's very mindfucky, and it's just a lot. Do you know what I mean? It's just a lot. So definitely not take a break, read a nice little romance. You know, that's what I feel like should be next in between this. But all in all, I really actually enjoyed this book, and I would recommend it. Obviously, like I said, please check, read all trigger warnings, etc. But on the whole, I think it was a really great book. So 4 stars, 8 out of 10. Good job. Well, anyway, that's all for today. We'll be back soon with another installment of the October TBR reads, alright? Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Have you subscribed? Thank you very much, and as always, until the next one, I'll see you then. Bye. One day. Oh, I don't really like the cover, I will say that. Should I watch the TV show? Let me know in the comments down below. Bye.